Morning everyone, this is Brian Johnson with Corporate Fit, and today's topic of discussion is going to be on foam rolling or self-myofascial release. The benefit of using this is that it helps to release muscle tightness, adhesions, knots, and things that happen from us being in static or sitting positions, or depending upon what our job or careers entail. All of these things will have a significant impact on what your body is able to do or what type of pains and aches that it produces. So today we're actually going to go through some exercises. We're going to go through some actual devices, from the foam rolling to the PVC pipe to the softball to some various types of things that you can use or take into your office, take into your car, whatever works for you. We're going to give you some different options. This one here is a big piece of foam. It's pretty dense. This is something you can pick up at Walmart, which is where you've probably seen a lot of these devices already. The beauty of this one is that you can cut this into 3 different segments. So you can have a piece in your car, you can have a piece at your office, and you can have a piece at your house, and it functions very good on all of those occasions. 3 other pieces. This is my favorite. This is a Home Depot special, and the benefit of this is the density never goes bad, and it's always very hard if you have tight calves, tight glutes. The glutes typically have more meat or muscle tissue or body fat in that area, so this is something that helps you embed in there and at least the adhesions or release the adhesions. The other 2, this one is one of my favorites for people who do a lot of sitting or driving, because this fits perfectly in this little area where the psoas muscle connects to the spine, which causes a lot of back issues because of that muscle pulling on the spine when you actually get up from a static or sitting position for long periods of time. This is something you can use on the legs in various areas. It's manually induced just like the rest of these. It's just a different way of going about doing it. So without further ado, we're going to bring our favorite guinea pig in, my good friend and business partner, Mr. Chris Vanberg. Give him a hand. Alright, so the first one we're going to do is we're actually going to go through the calf. And we're only going to do one side of the body first. We're going to demonstrate it. I'm going to show you what you're kind of watching for, because a lot of people, this has gotten pretty mainstream and a lot of people use this, but they do not use it properly. And there is a specific way to use the technique to maximize the time that you're going to invest in this, because if you take the time to do this, this is something that can potentially reverse back pains, sciatic issues, you having to have back surgery. I personally have experience with about 7 people in my career that have actually had back surgeries reversed from utilizing this as a type of stretching mechanism. So here we go. So what Chris is going to do is, you notice he has his right leg on here. He has his ankle foot off of the other side of the foam roller. Now it's important to remember, you want the muscles relaxed. You don't want them tight. It's important to breathe. So I'm going to take you through the techniques that we use and that we instruct people so you're maximizing your time. So go ahead and take your leg and cross it. All this leg crossing the other leg does is it adds dead weight to it. Your body may be so tender that you may not have to have the extra weight on there. Just find what works for you. From a communication mechanism, so him and I are on the same page, I use a scale between 1 and 10. 10 being pretty painful to where you see teeth and people are making faces, and that's kind of what you want. That's when I take pictures of them, so when they call, my clients are making crazy faces. So, long story short, we're looking for 6, 7, or 8. That's the therapeutic area where you want to be. If you're on a 1 or 2 on a pain level or a tension level, you want to try to find some other areas. So I'm going to walk you through and show you what we're doing. So go ahead, and all you're going to do is lift up. Now what he's going to do is he has his leg completely relaxed. His foot is relaxed. When that foot triggers and it's tight, that calf muscle's tight, and this foam roller is not embedding in there to loosen up the tissue. So all I'm going to have him do is I'm going to have him rotate from the hip, not from the ankle, because if he moves from the ankle will move, and it has much more range of motion and dexterity with not even changing the position of the calf on the foam roller. So on a pain level, where are you at? Anywhere? 1, 2, 3. Okay. So relax the foot, and what I'm going to have him do is I'm going to have him rotate the knee all the way out to the right, just slowly. And you know how slow he's going. This is like snail pace, because what you want to think about, pause right there, is you want to think about going over a speed bump. Muscles have knots in them, so when you hit the top of that speed bump, that's where you want to stay. You don't want to roll over the other side of it, because that's where the knot is on the very top portion of it. So what I want you to do is rotate your knee to a position where you start feeling like 6 or 7 or 8. You have one? Okay. He's on a spot. What would you say, number-wise? 6. Anything in the area that will put you 7 or 8? So here's where the good part comes in. We're going to go ahead and enhance his experience. Pick your foot up. This is where the fun happens. So, now where are you?
7.
Okay, it's just because he's my friend, I'll do this to him. So what we're going to do here is once you find a 7, the trick is to mentally relax, to take deep breaths so the nervous system understands that it's okay and it's not being harmed, because the first thing that happens when that pain happens is you tighten up, the muscles lock up, and the nervous system is like, what are you doing to me? Breathing is extremely important. So what you're going to do now is you're going to pick yourself back up, you're going to dorsiflex or pull the toe towards the knee as hard as you can, right on top of that knot. Good. See, he's making faces. Now point your toe as far as you can. Plantar flexion. Keep going. Good. Breathe. Breathing's good. Keep going. Pull. Pull, 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 pull. All right. Point. I'll take him through a few of these sessions of pulling back and forth. And what it's doing is it's pulling that knot over that surface area of tension to really start to loosen it up from a myofascial or a deep musculature structure. And what this is going to do, this is going to open up the blood vessels, the capillaries, to improve the oxygen transport, the nutrient delivery, the toxin removal, the dexterity and the range of motion of the ankle and the knee, which is where a lot of knee and ankle issues happen. So what you're going to do now is start rotating your knee. There you go. Anything in there? What would you say? That'd look like an 8. So teeth are good when you're looking at this to find whether your thresholds are. Good, and see how he's breathing fluidly? And he's getting kind of weak on the pull. You see his toe just barely moving, so get serious, man. And you see how he's changing the position of his ankle right on top of the position where you're trying to exert the tension at, which is what you want. Okay, now go ahead and rotate the knee inside. And if you have to, you can take a breath. This is a workout in itself, at least this part of it, because you're actually manually lifting the body. You can change your hand positions like this if you want to. It's a little easier on your wrist. Anything in there? Most of the people that have desk jobs will have a position to where their feet are externally rotated, which means all these muscles on the outside of the calves, those are the ones that are tight because it's pulling the foot out, which is what he is experiencing. And that's fine, that's understandable. What number are you on?
Working a 6.
Okay. Is it alleviating any?
Mm-hmm.
Objectively, when you find a hot spot, you want to sit there for 45 seconds to a minute to allow that muscle to just dissipate. And you'll feel it start to kind of melt like butter, but it's going to be a little bit painful, but that's where you want to be because that's where the therapy is actually happening. Okay, rotate the knee completely over. Relax the foot, relax the foot, relax the foot. Okay, now push yourself forward and migrate it up towards the bottom of the knee slowly. Anything in there? Five, 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything radiating or sharp nerve?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The objective is to do the calves starting from the Achilles tendon or the back of the ankle up to the bottom of the knee. You never use the foam roller on the joint. It's always below the joint or above the joint. That way you're not impacting knee or bone on the therapeutic device. Okay, so now he's pretty thorough on this one. He's pretty flexible. So what we're going to do is now we're going to go ahead and migrate into the hip flexor, the IT band, and the glute. So go ahead and you can change your device if you want. And what I have him do, pick up for a sec, now lay down, is I position the foam roller to where one side of the body is completely on the other side of it so that he has the ability just to relax, and his own body weight and gravity will add more of a resistance to the movement. All right, so go ahead and, before you move forward, from the knee, rotate it left and right slowly and see if you find any tension differences. Yeah? Mm-hmm. What number are you on?
6.
Okay, so go ahead and find the top of that knot. Take a deep breath. Keep breathing and slowly roll yourself forward. Now when I say slowly roll yourself forward, you're talking like a snail, like you really shouldn't be able to see that much motion. And this is the important part. This is where you're actually getting into the therapy portion of the movement, because most people will go so fast that they go right over the area that's causing the issue because it hurts. That's why you want to slow down and be conscious of what you're doing. How are you? Where are you on?
7.
Okay. Keep pulling down. And he's taking the easy road out right now. You got a little bit of padding from the carpet, and plus he's got an easy foam roller, so we're going to give him a break for a minute. We'll change in a second. What number are you on?
3.
Okay, so go ahead and change position. Stay where you are, but rotate left and right, and let that knee drag the ground. Your right knee, let it drag the ground. When this right knee tightens up, that hip flexor across his thigh is going to tighten up as well, which is going to make that foam roller not be able to embed into the hip area. Keeping the knee bent is huge when you're trying to get into the hip complex, which is where he's at, because those muscles are very tight because of the amount of activity that they get from the glutes and the hip flexors and the quads on the other side of the body and all around the pelvic region. Where you at, bud?
6.
Okay. Keep going. Relax the foot. Relax the knee. Keep pulling forward. Any better or worse?
Worse.
8. It doesn't matter how flexible you are, this is an area that will always be pretty tender because of the amount of activity and just because of the amount of sitting and things that we do that shorten these muscles, so they're going to tighten up. So this is always an area that I would focus on. The calves, the hip flexors, the IT bands, which is the connective tissue that holds the hamstring and the quad together, the glutes, all of that. This is something I would recommend doing daily, even if it's for just 10 or 15 minutes, and make sure you stretch afterwards. The muscle spindles, once you do this on them, they will actually relax, so that when you stretch, the ability for the muscles to relax and respond to the therapy that you just gave them is highly effective. Much different. You don't want to pull on muscles that have knots in them, because all you're doing is pulling on the joint. But when you flatten those out like a steam roller would on asphalt, the ability for those muscle spindles to relax to protect the joint is much more effective. How you doing, Chief?
Good.
Any issue?
Nope.
Okay, go ahead and rotate the knee towards the ground. Move into the quad. Anything in there? Yeah? So hold that position. From the knee, pull your heel towards your butt, slowly. And all I'm doing now is I'm taking him through active release in that position now that he's got a knot or a position that needs to be kind of flattened out. Where's your pain at?
6.
Okay. Pull it all the way up. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Alright, back down slow. Go ahead and rotate the knee towards the fireplace. There you go. How's the pain?
Yeah.
What is it, less or more? And what we'll do is take him through the quad, the IT band, and then we'll go towards the inner thigh. And this is something you're going to feel an immediate difference once you're done doing this with the dexterity and the range of motion ability between the knees and the ankles. So what you're going to do now is just roll over completely to the IT band. So just roll and lay on this side. So here's a very tricky one. Relax the leg. You see how his leg is positioned? Important, because you use this leg to push off of the ground if the pain that you're experiencing is too much. You can use this hand on the ground as well too to push off. That way you're alleviating it, because here's the thing. If it hurts so much that you can't relax, at that moment it's no longer therapeutic, and you want to make sure that you position yourself to either use the leg, the body, or the arm to lift the body so that you can relax, to allow that to embed in there and to help you with what you're trying to accomplish. Relax the leg on the ground. Straighten the knee. Alright. How's the pain? Pain free?
6.
Okay. Relax the leg on the ground. You see how his leg keeps popping off of the ground? What happens is that muscle's going to tighten up, and that's why we want that foot to drag on the ground so that muscle stays relaxed. The knee also. Rotate the kneecap down towards the ground just a little bit. Point your toe. Other way. There you go. Now rotate the knee towards the ground. Anything more or less. He was skating, taking it easy. And what you would want to do is you want to rotate that foam roller from the top of the hip all the way down above the knee, from the quad all the way over to the back part of the IT band, and we'll get into the glute in a second. You still on an 8?
6.
Okay, starting to alleviate some. Okay, good. So now let's do the inner thigh, Chris. So all he's doing is he's laying completely flat. He's laying the foam roller parallel or directly to his side, and he is taking his leg and putting it above the knee on the inside of the quad and the hamstring. And here's the fun part. You use this part of the leg to make the leverage a little differently, and this is where it's going to fit. Where are you on now? What number?
5.
Okay. Hold your breath. Now turn your kneecap down. Yeah. So what he's going to do is he's going to use this knee and this arm to bridge himself off of the ground to create the leverage that he needs. And this is probably one of the most painful ones. Agreed or no?
Mm-hmm.
That was a yes. What number are you on?
8, 9.
Okay. 8 or 9. This is the highest one he's hit yet. Sweating yet?
Mm-hmm.
You will sweat doing this, just because of the nervous system and the body being a little bit uncomfortable. There's that exhale. Important to do this, or important to remember when you are doing this, is to try to keep your posture as neutral as possible. Chris does a lot of computer work, so he automatically has a lot of forward head issues, and so do I, just from being like this, talking to people. So what you want to do is you want to keep the chin back. It also affects your breathing, because when the chin drops down, you're cutting off your airway, which is that's something that you don't want to do, because you're trying to maximize your oxygen uptake. So he did a good adjustment. How are you?
Good.
You still on 8 or 9? You?
Yeah, I'm 5.
Okay. So let's go ahead and go to the glute. This one's fun. People with sciatic issues, this is a huge one, because what happens is the sciatic issue runs through the piriformis muscle, which is the glute muscle that tightens or impinges and causes that radiation pain. Unless you've had some type of incident that would cause an acute injury, a wreck, or some type of sports injury, or a fall, whatever the case may be, most of the time you can reverse it with using this technique and just utilizing this device. And this is like a $20 piece of equipment, or $12 depending upon where you get it from. So, hand on the knee, pull the knee towards the chest slowly. Do you have anything so far? You can position your hand like he has it there, or you can drop back to a forearm. It just depends on how you feel comfortable. Anything?
Working my way to 6.
Working his way to a 6. Most of the times, this area will be about the waistband of the pants to the top of the hip and to the top of the glute, where that tie-in happens back there. Yeah?
8.
There's a breath. So now, when you find the spot, which he has done, what you do is you can take this hand, take the knee, pull the knee towards the chest as hard as you can, but just breathe and make sure you get comfortable. And all he's doing with pulling that knee towards the chest is he's really stretching out that tissue, that myofascial tissue, so that that foam roller can embed in there more to release that adhesion. And this sometimes is a trigger point, and you'll feel it in the throat when it hits that spot. It's not good or bad, it's just what happens, so just make sure you're breathing through it. How you doing?
Good. 8.
Head up. He's still on an 8, so we'll sit him in there just for a few more seconds. When you find that spot, just sit on it for about 45. And just breathe as deep as you can. Now, another technique that you can do is a little bit more advanced. Go ahead and position yourself where you can pull this leg off the ground. So just lay back on your forearm. All I'm doing now is just increasing the leverage, yeah, but don't fall off the back. Pull. Where are you at now? Chris used to be in Cirque du Soleil, so he's pretty good at this kind of stuff.
9.
He's on a 9 now. That's the only reason why I made him do that, just for demonstration's sakes. And he is breathing, in case you can't hear. And he thought he was doing it right the whole time. So I have an interesting story to inform you of, and this is what you do not want to do, and he's almost in the position that I explained for him not to do when he did it. Yeah, so we did a seminar one day for about 30 people, and I explained twice, boldly, do not do this and put yourself in this position. Well, long story short, I get a phone call about 2 hours after we finished, and he goes, hey man, you remember that spot you told us not to do? And I was like, yeah. He goes, well, I did it. And I can't move for about 3 or 4 hours. And what happened was he put enough pressure in the vertebra in the back because he probably wasn't drawing in the core to stabilize the spine, and it put nerve pressure on and dislocated him for a second and put him in a temporal portion of paralysis, which I do not recommend. So, on that note, always safety first, but with the stuff that we showed you first, this is extremely therapeutic, and this is something that I would recommend doing on a daily basis, and it will dramatically improve your flexibility, range of motion, and decrease your ability of getting injured. So, remember, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your illness.